Well, thanks everyone for taking the time to watch our presentation. We wanted to discuss today of screen time dangers. And what we mean by that is using screen time wisely or the things that will harm us by using our devices too much, as we're all surrounded by devices day in and day out. Obviously, we're using a device right now to record this presentation. All four of us are using different devices. So we just want to start off with a quick video kind of explaining what we're meaning. As you can tell, this is from a renowned Disney film, Wall-E. So just go ahead and watch and relax, and we'll discuss after.
How can I get I don't want to do that. Well, then what do you want to do? I don't know. Something. Like screen. Hard. Yeah, this is not any good.
For Axiom, your home sweet home. B is for by and large, your very best friend.
Time for lunch. I know I am. Attention, Axiom shows. And then
All
Perfect.
right, now I'll transition over.
Okay, so we wanted to take a moment to dive into the reality of some of our digital lives. These weekly screen time reports, they represent our own habits, our behaviors, and they go beyond just numbers and graphs. They serve as a reflection of how we engage with technology on a daily basis. By shedding light on these numbers, we're not here to shame or judge anybody. Instead, we want to spark a conversation about the impact of excessive screen time on our well being and productivity. And these reports just serve as a wake up call, reminding all of us to be mindful of how we personally use technology and reminding us that we need to find a healthy balance. So, next screen, please. Okay. So, considering that 47% of Americans acknowledge that they are addicted to their phones, it begs the question, why? One of the primary factors that people are addicted to their screens is the release of dopamine when we check our phones. Dopamine actually functions as both a hormone and a neurotransmitter, which impacts brain regions associated with pleasure, satisfaction, and motivation. To elaborate, consider the following scenario. Somebody posts on social media a picture of themselves, and this creates a sense of reward, which reinforces them to constantly check their phones and engage with social media platforms. Our brains are inherently wired to seek out dopamine, which explains why this habit becomes so ingrained and difficult to break. The significance of discussing dopamine in this context lies in understanding how it contributes to the addictive nature of phone use. Social media platforms and other digital applications actually leverage this neurochemical response to keep users engaged and coming back for more. This is why platforms such as Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat seem to be constantly addictive. Researchers have found that people that engineer these platforms actually put these apps together for a certain purpose of people wanting to come back for more and more. Features such as notifications, likes, comments, and personalized content are carefully designed to trigger dopamine releases, leading to increased time spent on these platforms. This design strategy, while beneficial for app developers in terms of user metrics and advertising revenue, can have profound implications on users' mental health and well-being. By highlighting the role of dopamine and its impact on behavior, we gain insight into the underlying mechanisms and behaviors of which is driving phone addiction. And as we better understand how crucial it is, we can make better informed choices on how to manage our screen time, break free of addictive patterns, and strive for a healthier balance between technology and real life experiences.
So today I want to talk about the negative impact and the positive impact about screen use and how damaging it can be and the positives that come with it. To start, I want to tell a personal story. I have a pretty high usage of like screen time, social media use, and I've noticed that as I've grown and gotten older, the more that I use a screen, the more negative I am. I have a poor outlook on life. I'm just all around more grumpy and not very fun to be around. So when I took a step back and decided to pick up a different hobby instead of using my phone all the time, I saw a drastic change in my mood, my attitude, and just people wanting to be around me more. And I also had less anxiety and less impacts of depression. So that one of the negative impacts is that youth are at a higher risk for depression. They have an increase in mental health issues. All of these screens and all of this social media can be very damaging to your self-esteem issues. On the average, an American individual picks up their phone around 144 times a day. This means we're checking our phones, we're checking social media so much that it makes us depressed. And then when it comes to social media, on women's from the ages of 18 to 30, 90% of them are using Facetune or some sort of image altering to make themselves fit the social media mold of a woman. Along with this is for the youth, it can delay your academic development. Next slide, please. Some of the positive impacts are that it's easy, fast, and convenient. We have LinkedIn, which makes searching for jobs and networking super easy and kind of creates a thin little barrier of, oh, if they don't respond to me, that's great, I can just ignore it, that kind of thing. This maximizes networking potential and can increase efficiency. A lot of companies use UKG, which is a time clocking app and HR app, to track the times of their employees. And then as far as social media goes, it can create a community and sense of belonging. So since I picked up a new hobby from trying to get off of social media so much, I have started reading a lot of books. This turns out I found a community within Instagram and within TikTok called Bookstagram or Book Talk. And this kind of gives me just a sense of belonging and community where I can go and not really feel like nobody gets what I'm saying or nobody gets me. And that's one of the major positives that social media can have.
So how do we curb this addiction? What is the way to not only negate the negative impact that it's having on us, but also bring out the positivity within our lives? And the way that we do this is actually by engaging in the real world or engaging in reality. A lot of researchers say that just going out and taking a walk, even by yourself, let alone with someone else, actually increases your mood during the day. And it's actually more relaxing than it would be if you actually sat down and watched a movie on the couch. I know for myself, and especially my wife with two kids that we have going around and running around all day, it's nice to sit back, watch a movie on the couch. And yet sometimes we actually find it more relaxing if we actually have a babysitter that babysits our kids and watches them for even 10, 15 minutes while we just go outside and take a walk. We find that our moods are more exhilarated. We find that we actually engage in normal communicative conversations, so our relationship improves, almost like you see this couple here in this picture. And so not only does it have the benefits of getting you out and getting you relaxed, you actually engage with someone else, and that raises those dopamine levels of actually healthy dopamine, so you actually can engage and connect with other people like you can't with social media. Social media is a great tool and that allows you to communicate with others, yet it lacks the in-person ability to engage even deeper with that person. As Selena noted earlier, 90% of the women actually alter their image, which is really sad to hear, but it's also that people can be fake online and they can tell you things that aren't actually in reality. When you're with a person and you're having a conversation, you can actually tell by their body language if they're in a happy mood, if they're sad, what they're like. And this creates that ambiance and that feeling of belongingness within a person. The next thing we can do is just reading books. I find with my son, when I actually read a book with him instead of watch TV or watch a movie, he retains and learns so much information. We read a book with him every night that's called What is Poop? And he loves it. He actually has memorized the entire book. He can't even read yet because he's two, but he actually has memorized the book from page to page and knows exactly what little flaps come up and things. And this helps him to engage more fully and keep that intuitiveness within his mind. Researchers say that actually reading a book helps you to retain information even faster than you would do it if you were reading an ebook, even on your Kindle or on a laptop screen. So for those of us, especially for me in college, I actually prefer to order the book, the paper book online instead of reading the ebook. So then I can actually retain the information and read it offline so I can perform better and retain that information better on exams.
All right, so we've talked a lot about many different topics. We've talked about why people are addicted to their technology, specifically their phones and iPads, things like that. We've talked about also the positive impacts of technology, specifically on kids and adults. And we've also talked about how to curb those negative impacts of technology for both kids and adults. But if you're anything like me, you're probably wondering to yourself, okay, well, I do use a phone for good reasons, but sometimes it's bad and I have this habit. Well, what am I supposed to do? What are we supposed to do with all of this information that we've learned today? And the most important thing to wrap all of this information up is understanding the key factors and points to making a change in your life and creating that safeguard between you and technology. So, how does this relate to this picture in the background you see here? Some of you might know about the great story of the 2003 Great Britain cycling team. From 1908 until 2003, the Great Britain cycling team was known as the laughingstock in cycling competitions around the world. They had won a total of 1 gold medals the entire time from 1908 to 2003. And they were tired of losing, as I think anyone would be. And so they decided to make a change. They thought they needed to change everything. They needed to change their bikes, their tires, their uniforms, their helmets, their glasses, everything that they do about biking, they needed to change. But I'm sure all of you know when you change lots of things in your life, it can be overwhelming. And so they hired someone that would help them to make small changes over time. And so this Great Britain bicycling team decided to make small changes, quote, 1% of the time, taking small bits here and there to change things to help them become better. So they would change their glasses. They would use a new pair of glasses for a few weeks. And then once they became comfortable with that, they changed the amount of water they drank. They did this over and over and over and made small changes, even silly things such as the mattresses they sleep on and the pillows they use. They would ship them around the world as they traveled. These small changes were what generated a large impact over time. And that's what happened with the cycling team. After 2003 and all those changes that they made, they became one of the world's greatest cycling teams. So we need to take that situation and that example and apply it into how we use technology and phones. The best way to tackle this issue is to create a small new habit that's a positive change and implement it into your life. Now, that's different for everyone. It might be different for me than it is for someone that never uses technology or maybe only uses their email. So what we would like you to do is to focus on those small positive changes that you can think of that you could implement each day over time to create a positive impact. A positive small change is easier and more appealing than a large negative change. Next slide, please. So we've got these three small images here to help you remember what you've learned today. We've got a clock image, we've got a brain image, and we've got a globe or the world. And what we'd hope these three images help you remember is that when you are using your phone, be conscious of how much time you're using. And with your brain, think about how using that phone is impacting you and how you feel and how you think, how you interact with others. And finally, for the world, we want you to engage with the real world. Take some time to make sure you're not always using technology, but spending time outside of technology, going for a walk, reading an actual physical book. So from us as the presenters to you as the audience, we'd like to invite all of you to think of small changes you can implement over time that will create a lasting impact to utilize both the positive benefits and erase the negative benefits of technology in your life. Thank you.